Their replies used to come fast. Full sentences, little jokes, the kind of attention that made your phone feel warm in your hand. Now you're staring at a single word on a bright screen, and something behind your ribs has gone quiet. So, you scroll back. You reread everything from the last week, hunting for the fracture. The thing you said wrong. The line you crossed. You scan your own words, and suddenly they all sound desperate, and you start editing a history that wasn't broken until someone's silence convinced you it was. This isn't them pulling away. This is a punishment, designed so precisely that you'll never feel certain enough to call it one. And the part no one talks about, the reason you keep reaching towards someone who keeps pulling back, that's where this gets really dark. It works because there's nothing to confront. They didn't yell. They didn't accuse you of anything. They just became less warm, less present, less yours. And you can't fight less. It's like someone slowly draining the oxygen from a room. Not enough to make you gasp, just enough to make you dizzy and unsure whether the problem is the air or your lungs. Your nervous system doesn't process this kind of withdrawal as neutral. It reads it as danger. The same circuits that fire during abandonment light up when someone who was once warm goes cold without explanation. That's not you being dramatic. That's biology. This is the quiet punishment pattern. One of the most effective forms of emotional control that exists, because it never requires a raised voice, never leaves a mark, and never comes with an explanation you can push back against. Here's how it moves through your life. Not in theory. In the moments you've been replaying at 2 a.m. 3 weeks ago, their name on your screen meant something different. You'd see it, and something in your chest would lift. They sent paragraphs, voice notes, in the middle of lunch. Links to things that proved they'd been thinking about you during a random Tuesday. Their attention had weight, and you didn't appreciate how much until it vanished. Then something shifts. Not a fight, not a confession, not a door slamming. The first sign is almost too small to name. A message that used to earn a full response now gets, haha yeah, an emoji where there used to be a sentence. You send something vulnerable, something real, and the reply comes back 6 hours later. That's crazy. You read it twice. Put your phone down. Pick it back up. Read it again. That first pang, that tiny contraction behind your ribs, you dismiss it. They're probably tired, probably stressed, probably nothing. But your body registered the temperature drop before your mind gave it permission to. You didn't imagine the shift. It was real. But it's not the distance that does the real damage. It's what you do next. You go back through the messages. Not casually, forensically. You're scanning for the fracture point. The moment you said too much, asked for too much, wanted too much. You scroll past your own words, and every sentence becomes evidence for a case you're building against yourself. Did that double text come off as clingy? Was that question too direct? Did you call when you should have waited? So you draft a new message, something light, something that doesn't reveal you've noticed anything. You write it, rewrite it, shorten it, add a joke so it doesn't sound heavy, delete the joke, put it back, stare at it for 2 full minutes, and then send something that says absolutely nothing. Your thumbs hover over the keyboard one more time before you lock the screen and set your phone face down on the table like it burned you. That's when you open their profile. And this is where your stomach drops. Because they're not absent. They're active. Commenting on someone else's post. Laughing in someone's story. Present and warm and available. Just not for you. The question changes. It's not "are they okay?" anymore. It's "what did I do?" There's a reason this stage hurts more than it should. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement. When rewards become unpredictable, your brain doesn't disengage. It doubles down. It obsesses. It scrambles to crack the code, to figure out what behavior earns the warmth back. Same mechanism behind slot machines. And right now, every unanswered text is another pull of the lever. You're not overthinking. You're correctly identifying a pattern someone is betting you won't name. Now it gets personal. Because this next phase is the one you're probably in right now. So you do what anyone in this position does. You adapt. You see them in person and you're performing before you even open your mouth. You laugh a little too quickly at their joke. You feel yourself doing it. You monitor your tone, your volume, the amount of space your opinions are allowed to take up. Every sentence gets drafted in your head before it leaves your lips, edited in real time, softened at every edge. In the car, you play music you think they'll like instead of what you want to hear. At dinner, you catch yourself agreeing with something you don't actually agree with, just to keep the air stable. You stop bringing up things that bother you. You stop asking where you stand. You text less. You ask for less. You become the easiest, smallest, most agreeable version of yourself, the one that takes up the least space, the one that couldn't possibly give anyone a reason to leave. And here's what I need you to sit with for a second. The punishment is working. All of this, is exactly what it was designed to produce. Not a conversation, not resolution, compliance. It's teaching your body that warmth has conditions, and your job is to meet them without ever being told what they are. You didn't get smaller by accident, you were compressed. The confusion wasn't the side effect, it was the product. And the part that should scare you most isn't the cold, it's what happens when it ends. There's a reason the warm moments feel so intense, and when I explain it, you're going to want to put your phone down. And then, it lifts. They come back. Not with an apology. Not with an explanation. They just thaw. A long text out of nowhere. A phone call with laughter in it. Their hand on the small of your back like nothing ever happened. They look at you the way they used to and something loosens in your chest. A knot you didn't even know you'd been carrying comes undone, and for the first time in weeks, you can breathe. Notice what just happened in your body reading that. That exhale. That softening. That tiny flood of relief you felt on behalf of a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet. That's not reconciliation. That's the reward. Everything I've described so far, the distance, the self-blame, the shrinking, it was all set up. This is the part that locks you in. Your brain is now coding the warmth differently. It's not baseline anymore. It's not what you expect from someone who loves you. It's what you earn. And earned warmth hits the nervous system harder than warmth that was simply there all along. They didn't come back because you fixed a problem. There was no problem to fix. They came back because the distance had done its work. You're softer now, quieter, more grateful for things you never should have had to earn, like being treated with kindness by someone who says they care about you. Your shoulders drop the second they smile at you. That's not relief. That's obedience. That's not love. That's architecture. Now pull back. See the whole thing from above. The warmth, the withdrawal, the confusion, the self-blame, the shrinking, the return, the relief. Then, weeks later, the withdrawal again. A different reason. Or no reason at all, and the cycle restarts. Except this time you adjust faster, shrink quicker. Apologize sooner for things you still can't name. You've absorbed the lesson your body was being taught all along. Remember that first shift, the haha yeah that replaced paragraphs? That wasn't carelessness. Now you see what it was. The first lesson in a curriculum you never signed up for. Researchers who study coercive dynamics have a name for this structure, a compliance loop. The cold teaches you the rules. The warmth teaches you that following them works, and the distance between the two becomes your responsibility to manage, even though you never drew the lines. They built a room around you. Then they controlled the thermostat. You weren't too sensitive. You were being trained. Here's the part that's hardest to face. The cruelest part of this pattern isn't the silence. It's that the silence made the warmth feel like a drug. Somewhere along the way, you stopped needing consistency and started needing the cycle, because without the cold, the return wouldn't hit the same way. The highs got higher because the lows got lower. And your definition of closeness quietly rewrote itself into something that requires pain as a down payment. You didn't get closer, you got trained. But now you see the blueprint. A pattern you can name is a pattern you can stop walking into. The cycle doesn't break when they change. It breaks the moment your body stops interpreting their return as relief and starts recognizing it as the next setup. You're not leaving because you're angry. You're leaving because you finally see the room, and you're choosing the door while it's still open. Tell me in the comments, which phase are you in right now? You don't have to explain, just the number. If this is the first video of mine you've found, subscribe. I make the things people do to you impossible to ignore. The warmth was never free.